Welcome back, Focus Learners. Okay, let's jump straight into it. Today, we are breaking down the definitive data on the ultimate heavyweight matchup, Tirzepatide versus Semaglutide, and what the highly anticipated SURMOUNT-5 head-to-head trial actually shows. The very first direct Phase 3 comparison between these two giants is finally in, and at week 72, the results were, well, incredibly clear. But we aren't stopping at the pharmacy counter today. This explainer walks through that crucial SURMOUNT-5 data, and then we're going to venture deep into the rapidly expanding, sometimes totally chaotic universe of peptide therapies, just to see where the future of human optimization and healing is actually heading. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First up, the GLP-1 heavyweight matchup. 2, retatrutide, the triple agonist. 3, the broader peptide boom. 4, the 2026 FDA crackdown. And finally, 5, navigating the Wild West. All right, Section 1, the GLP-1 heavyweight matchup, SURMOUNT-5 head-to-head trial results. Let's step right into the center of the ring here. For the last couple of years, the medical world has literally been holding its breath waiting for a direct comparison between the two blockbuster weight loss drugs reshaping global health. And the SURMOUNT-5 trial gives us exactly that. Published in the New England Journal of Medicine, this was a 72-week open-label trial specifically evaluating adults with obesity, but, and this is key, without type 2 diabetes. Participants were randomly assigned to receive the maximum tolerated injectable dose of either Tirzepatide on side A or Semaglutide on side B. It's a pure clinical showdown. And this brilliantly illustrates what happened at the primary endpoint climax of that 72-week trial. Tirzepatide produced a significantly superior average weight loss of 20.2% of baseline body weight. Semaglutide, on the other hand, drove a 13.7% reduction. Now, obviously, both are absolutely incredibly effective, but the data clearly shows Tirzepatide pulling away as the much stronger compound for overall weight reduction. But that dominance definitely didn't stop at the scale. If we look at the secondary endpoints, Tirzepatide's structural advantage extended right into body composition. Patients on Tirzepatide saw an average waist circumference reduction of 18.4 centimeters compared to 13 centimeters for Semaglutide. Plus, patients on Tirzepatide had a significantly superior likelihood of hitting those massive, truly life-altering milestones. We're talking losing more than 20% or even an astonishing 25% of their total body weight, which in the clinical world is just medically staggering. Let's move on and see how this builds in Section 2. Reach your tide, the next challenger blows past SURMOUNT-5. So, just as Tirzepatide claims the crown, Eli Lilly is already pulling back the curtain on the next generation, retatrutide. This is a GIP, GLP-1, and glucagon triple hormone receptor agonist. Basically, it actively stimulates 3 distinct metabolic pathways all at once, and the numbers here are just mind-blowing. In the Phase 3 TRIUMPH-4 trial, patients on the highest 12 milligram dose lost an average of 28.7% of their body weight at 68 weeks. To put that into perspective, that is an average of 71.2 pounds, which is roughly the size of a fully grown golden retriever. And beyond just weight, it actually reduced knee osteoarthritis pain by nearly 76%, with 1 in 8 patients becoming completely knee pain-free. But of course, there is a catch. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the trade-off. In clinical trials, unprecedented efficacy often surfaces brand new challenges. In TRIUMPH-4, a new safety signal emerged called dysesthesia. Basically, it's an abnormal, sometimes downright painful sense of touch on the skin. It occurred in up to 21% of patients on retatrutide compared to less than 1% on the placebo. Furthermore, up to 18% of patients discontinued that highest dose, and some specifically dropped out due to what the study called perceived excessive weight loss. Just think about that irony for a second. The drug might actually work too fast for some people. All right, let's step back for Section 3. The broader peptide boom, beyond weight loss to tissue healing. Up until now, we've just been looking at the mainstream peak of metabolic medicine. But Tirzepatide, Semaglutide, retatrutide, they are all just synthetic peptides. They're tiny chains of amino acids that act as really specific chemical messengers in the body. And that realization has blown the doors wide open on a much broader landscape of clinical biohacking and anti-aging. Which leads us to ask a really fun question. What else can peptides do? I mean, if one chain of amino acids can literally make you lose 28% of your body weight, what can other specific chains do for your mood, your longevity, or your ability to heal from a torn ligament or a surgical procedure?
To navigate this crazy alphabet soup safely, neurobiologist Dr. Andrew Huberman uses a really brilliant categorization framework. Category 1 features heavily tested, often FDA-approved peptides like sermorelin and T-sermorelin. These safely stimulate your natural growth hormone to help with things like sleep and visceral fat reduction. Then you have Category 2. This consists of experimental peptides driven largely by intense animal data and underground popularity, like BPC-157 and TB-500, and these are famous for incredible anecdotal reports of accelerated tissue and wound healing.
And clinical experts are increasingly merging these two worlds. For instance, a major issue with GLP-1s is rapid muscle loss, which can completely tank your long-term metabolism. It's a huge problem. Dr. Craig Conover notes that through highly regulated compounding pharmacies, doctors can use microdoses of a drug like Tirzepatide and actually combine it with a Category 1 peptide like sermorelin. This bespoke approach helps patients keep the critical muscle mass they desperately need to burn calories, while still safely dropping the fat. This brings us to a big turning point in Section 4, the 2026 FDA crackdown. The law lays down on the gray market. Whenever medicine moves this fast, federal regulators are eventually going to step in. Objectively reporting from sources like the Ssrp Institute and major clinical forums, April 2026 marks a really significant FDA reclassification. Immensely popular Category 2 healing peptides, specifically those ones we mentioned, BPC-157 and TB-500, have been effectively removed from legitimate compounding pharmacy lists. In response to this massive restriction, specialized clinicians are already pivoting to legally compliant substitutes like PDA. PDA is a single amino acid compound designed to try and mirror the healing benefits of the banned substances without crossing those new regulatory lines. So the crucial point here is that this creates a stark and honestly fascinating duality in modern medicine. On one hand, you've got pharmaceutical giants breaking efficacy records with triple agonist peptides that are completely redefining global obesity care. But on the other hand, the personalized regenerative peptide market, which is used heavily for tissue healing and localized inflammation, is facing an era of total restriction and intense scrutiny. Okay, moving to our final segment, Section 5, Navigating the Wild West, a framework for molecular medicine. Let's make this practical. With the market shifting around so violently, how do you actually interact with this space responsibly? Well, if you are exploring this frontier, walk through these 5 practical questions derived from the peptide database. 1. What are you actually treating, and is there a traditional alternative? 2. What is your real risk tolerance for experimental science? 3. Can you source the product from a highly regulated compounding pharmacy, or are you risking underground contamination? 4. How will you track adverse effects? What's the exit strategy? And 5, most importantly, are you doing this alongside a board-certified physician who actually understands this landscape? From the rigorously proven data of that SURMOUNT-5 trial to the absolute fringes of regenerative biohacking, one thing is for sure: the molecular tools at our disposal are evolving way faster than our rulebooks. As this science completely redraws the limits of human biology, we have to ask ourselves, where exactly do we draw the line between healing, optimization, and dangerous experimentation? Think on that, and I'll see you in the next explainer.